Guys, welcome back to my channel. So this is my most sought after video. A lot of people have been asking me on Instagram and YouTube, how are you able to buy a property in the UK? Or how did you and your husband do it? What step did you follow? What are the processes involved? So in this video, I'm not going to be gatekeeping. I'm going to be telling you everything, like giving you all the teas involved in buying your first property as a migrant in the UK, so you don't want to go anywhere. If you're seeing my face for the very first time, guys, my name is Yeti, and on this channel I share information about traveling abroad, relocating, and better helping people thrive abroad, like giving them tips that can make them thrive abroad and help migrants that have relocated to the United Kingdom. So on today's episode of Yettysplash, like I said, we're talking about everything you need to know about buying a property in the UK. So if you want to buy a property in the UK, the first thing is that you need to start saving towards your deposit. That was the first step. When we were ready, we knew that we needed to save towards our deposit, okay? So let me give you guys a background story. My husband and I, we got married June 2023. At that point, we started saving towards, before our marriage, we started saving together, like we wanted to buy a house because we just knew that after marriage, we wanted to move into our own home. But unfortunately, and it's not unfortunate, to be honest, at the end of the day, in the process of our wedding, in the process of planning our wedding, I don't know, I just lost it. My husband and I, we agreed, and I accepted that we're going to have a little wedding, a small wedding, so that we can save towards to buying our first property. But in the process, I just got lost. I just got excited. I just wanted my dream wedding, my fairy tale wedding, which means I wanted an extravagant, like a big wedding, and that took away all the money we had initially saved towards buying our first property in the UK. Like, I'm so blessed with the kind of man that I married, because even when I told him, like, okay, babe, I know that we agreed that we're gonna buy a house after our wedding, but I really want my dream wedding. It's sort of like I agreed, like, whatever you want, babes, and he went along with it. So we had that glamorous Instagram wedding, Bella Ninja carried kind of wedding, and I'm so happy. The only regret, and there's no regret even, it's not a regret, but the only thing is that we lost out on the money that we had worked so hard to save towards buying our first home. So by the time we came back for our wedding, that was in June 2023, we had no money. Honestly, like no money at all, nothing saved. In fact, we started from scratch, zero. And towards the end of the year, we're not even saving, we're just trying to live and breathe and just be fully balanced back in the UK. So, but if you want to buy a property, the point is that you have to save towards your home. And as God did, in 1 year, we're still able to save. So at the end of the day, it was not even a loss for me anyways, because we were still able to save towards buying our first property in the UK. So after you save for your mortgage, I always tell people it's advisable that you save up to 10%, right? That is what we eventually saved at the end of the day. In 2024 was when we started saving very well. Or let me say from December 2023 of our wedding, then because we saved for a year and then we bought our house, so we started saving seriously from that period. So save towards your mortgage, 5%, 10%. We did 10% because the higher your percentage, the lower the interest rate you pay. And if you're, for those who are citizens, sometimes there are schemes available for them to even not pay any deposit at all and get on the property ladder. But it's advisable that you pay at least 10%. It's really good. But if you cannot afford it and you still want to get on the property ladder, you can still do 5%, but not all banks will be willing to lend you money. So that's enough on saving on your deposit. The next thing is you need to factor in your stamp duty cost. So the next thing is you need to factor the stamp duty cost. So at the time we were buying our property, thank God, at that time, like, in fact, the law just recently changed this April. This UK are changing rules and regulation. So at the time when we bought our property, if you're buying up to £425,000 property, you do not pay any stamp duty, like you paid nothing as a first-time buyer. But now the law has changed. If you're buying a property now, you will not pay anything if the value of your property is just £300,000. But if you're buying a property above 300,000 to about 500,000, then you pay 5%. And thank God that the law at that time was that we're not able to pay anything because our property was way above 300,000 value that that people now need to pay 5% on. So we would have fallen into the bracket of those that would have paid 5%. So that is why I'm adding that onto this video. Like, if you want to buy a property, once you have your deposit, factor in your stamp duty, because most times if you're buying 2-3 bed, there's no way, depending on the area anyways, your house will be way over 300,000. So you want to factor in the stamp duty cost. Once you have your stamp duty and your deposit covered, then you need to start searching for houses in the UK. Guys, this is like the most exciting part for me. This is the most exciting part of the process, searching for property. So you need to you need to discuss with your partner, because I bought with my husband, what kind of property do you want? So one thing for sure, I was never buying a terrace house. I told my husband, like, in fact, 3 things, plenty things for sure. We were never going for a terrace house. We were never going for an old property. It has to be new build. We were never buying less than a 4-bedroom house. Like, I had so many things, because buying a home means that this is where you want to stay for a very long time. So you want it to tick major. I mean, you can't find a house that obviously ticked everything people would say, but I think our house checked all the boxes for us. It was everything we wanted. I never wanted a terrace house. In fact, what I wanted was a standalone detached house, but by the time we got to this property development, all the standalones were sold. In fact, our house was called last plots because it was the last plot, and it was like through the grace of God that we were able to even get it, because it was already sold. Then the person, sort of dropped out in the process, and then thank God I came in and I took it. So it was the last property in this development that we bought. So I knew, and it's a semi-detached house, right? So I was able to okay, let me just manage semi-detached. But there were some things you guys need to discuss when it's time for you to buy a property with your partner, or if you're buying alone. Do you want terrace? Obviously terrace will be much more cheaper. Do you want flat? Flat will be much more cheaper. Do you want bungalow? So the more things you had on, or there's some kind of properties that are more expensive, like if you want a detached house, you'll be paying more obviously than someone buying the same 4-bedroom house, but it's not detached, semi-detached, but it's in a terraced house, if you understand what I mean. So you need to determine what kind of property you want to get. So the area was a key factor for me. I wanted somewhere that is commutable to London, somewhere that is also within the area that my husband works as well, because we didn't want to do long commute as well. I work remotely, so it was good for me either ways, but I still wanted that easy access to London. Like, if any friend of mine called me now, like, Yeti, let's meet in London now, I'm off, because it's so commutable to London. I can take a taxi, Uber, even though I'm going to spend so much money, but the bottom line is that it's not far away, it's not 4 hours. So I wanted it somewhere close to London, because I've got family members there as well. I can always visit somewhere close to my relation. I didn't want to go up north or through myself where I can't see any family member, like my husband's family member are close by, my family members, they're close by as well. So I wanted that kind of area. So this house checked all the boxes for my husband and I. So the next step, guys, is to now start viewing. I loved viewing, but fun facts, guys, I really love viewing, but I never saw my house until it was fully built. Like, we already paid, completed the transaction and everything. In fact, I only saw the full house the day I got my key. So I bought my house on something called CGI, computer generated image. So what they showed us was computer, because at the point where we reserved the property, there were no buildings here, so we just saw the computer generated image. And because it's abroad anyway, I don't think I will ever buy a property in Nigeria with a computer generated image, because it will be a case of what I ordered versus what I got. But that was not the case here. Everything they showed us, up to the flowers that they told us that were going to be outside of our house, guys, we got it. And that's the thing with this country, integrity. Okay, so we did 3 viewings in total. We did 2 viewings in total, but we didn't get those 2 properties. The first one was not a new build house, but I saw prospect because it was a 4-bed, was big, and I was thinking, but when I went to that house, I said, nah, this is not for us. I don't know, I just said, no, I'm sticking with my new build. Now we viewed another new build property, but why we didn't go for that one, was like the rooms were really, really small. It was also a 4-bed within the budget and everything, but the rooms were small. And then we saw this one online, and it was just too good to be through, and eventually we got. So once you guys are ready, once you have everything sorted, viewing is the next thing, guys. It gets exciting when you start viewing, because you're like, oh my god, this could be my home. Next is to speak with a mortgage advisor, guys, because obviously you can't go through the process of buying a home unless you're paying cash anyway, like you're paying everything in full without speaking with a mortgage advisor. If you guys want to use the same mortgage advisor that I use, just go to the description box. There's a link there. Fill that link and you can have a first consultation with him. I think that consultation is free. He's not going to charge you anything, but you must be willing and you must be ready to buy your house when you do that. God, I would definitely recommend my mortgage advisor, because it made the whole process smooth for me. Like, we got our agreement in principle very smoothly, and then we're able to get good banks. Being a migrant, there are usually bottlenecks and all of that. Some banks will tell you they can't loan you outright, they don't loan immigrant. So, but because the mortgage advisor that I work with is really experienced with helping migrants get property in the UK, so it was easy for me to get my agreement in principle and to get the whole mortgage process, up and running as well. Although you can also use, if you're using an agent, for example, in your house buying process. If you're using an agent in your house buying process, they can recommend, mortgage advisor to you as well, or you can go through bank, banks can also recommend mortgage advisor to you as well. But usually I use an independent, mortgage advisor, which is really good, and that is the person I went with eventually, because with them, then they can give you various options. But if you go with maybe the solicitor, if you go with maybe a bank mortgage advisor, they won't be giving you options, right? They'll only give you that option that is particular to that bank. So I went with an independent one so that I can know what my options were and also choose the best option for me. Another reason why you have to speak to a mortgage advisor is because they're going to do an affordability check for you, because income varies. So the property A can afford, B might not be able to afford it because of obviously their income, their lifestyle, and things like that. So the mortgage advisor will check your income. In my own case, because I'm buying with my husband, we're able to have a larger, borrowing power. They'll check your borrowing power. So, and it's really important because you don't want to start viewing, let's say, a house of 500k when your borrowing power, you can't even ever get a mortgage that will, you can't even, your affordability check, you can't buy a 500k property. So it's important that even before you, although I mentioned viewing first, but before you start viewing, as long as you have your deposit and everything, it's important to speak to a mortgage advisor so they let you know what my affordability is going to be anyway, and that is what it eventually, because I watched so many videos on how you can calculate, so I did that calculation and I thought that okay, we could afford the kind of property we wanted. If we were, say, let's go for a 6-bedroom house, we might not be able to afford it because depending on the area and all of that. So this is what the affordability check will let you know, your borrowing power and the kind of house that you can afford. So once we started speaking with a mortgage advisor, then the next thing was to reserve our property. In fact, you see, before I reserved our property. Usually people reserve their property after they've spoken to a mortgage advisor, but I reserved our property before I even got in touch with the mortgage advisor, because it has to be this house or no house, or no other house. Now, reservation fee is not for everybody. Like if you're not buying a new build property, they might not ask you to reserve, but usually when you're buying a new build house, you have to pay reservation fee. So immediately I knew this was the house for me, and they asked me to pay the reservation, sort of put in that interest that yes, you're interested. And yeah, that was the beginning of the process. So I think we paid £1,000 for our reservation fee for this property. And the good thing about reservation fee is that they deduct it from your overall house buying fee at the end of the day. So once you have a mortgage advisor, then the mortgage advisor is going to get to work, not just to check your affordability check, but to also give you what is called agreements in principle. Now, agreements in principle, that is golden. That is when you know that, I am going to become a landlord soon, because it will explain. That means that the bank has agreed, subject to your checks obviously, that they are going to loan you, maybe depending on how much you want to pay. We paid 10% of the property, so that means the bank gave us 90% of the property value to buy this house. So that means the bank has agreed that yes, they're going to be dropping their money. They don't mind dropping their money for you to buy your house. So once you have an agreement in principle, the whole process is almost complete. So it's at that point you then need to get in touch with solicitors, with your lawyers. Some of them call themselves conveyancing lawyers and things like that. So you need to have a solicitor. You can't just buy a house in the UK and those things that people buy house in Nigeria, they never do agreement or things like that. Sometimes they won't even contact a lawyer. I don't think my father contacted any lawyer to buy our house. I think he went through on real estate in Nigeria. But here you need to use a solicitor. So we contacted a solicitor. I chose an independent solicitor as well. The bank can offer you solicitors. They have some options and all of that, but I chose an independent solicitor. The agent we're working with also had solicitors, not like it's free, they'll just give you options, but I think I did my personal research and I wanted a solicitor that was local within the area that I was buying my property, because that means they have enough experience to deal with houses in that environment, and my searches are going to come out quick and things like that. But it doesn't really matter anyways. You can choose any solicitor from any location, but we chose a solicitor within our local area that we live. So yes, we got in touch with a solicitor, and guys, that is the most stressful thing ever, because with solicitors, they will ask you to send your payslip, bank statement, they were questioning some things that does not even make sense, but as long as you are able to explain, you're fine. I remember them asking if my husband and I run a joint account, because we usually send money to each other back and forth, and I'm like, that's my husband, why do we need to? We don't have a joint account. Some couples do, but we always send money to each other back and forth and things like that, transfer this, transfer that. So we had to clarify that one as well. Send them an email. They'll flag some transactions. They'll be like, how much is it? I'm like, oh, this money, da sent it to me to pay for da and that. It's just simple explanation. As long as there's no hidden charges, or as long as there's no hidden anything, then you'll be fine. Reasonable explanation. So that's our advice. When it's time for you to buy your property, guys, have a clean bank account. Ensure you have a clean bank account. And what do I mean? Ensure that whatever bank account you'll be submitting is only your salary that is coming through there, to avoid stress of back and forth with them. Like, just submit a bank account that is clear, clean, just your salary, minor expenses, no long story, not the one that you're using for left file, using to send money, this, send money that. Sometimes it can be stressful, but at the end we got there. So the lawyer's job is not just to check you. They'll also check the house. They will do some searches at the land registry to be sure that the title deed is right and correct. The people that actually want to sell the property to you are the ones that have the the right, the legal right to be passing ownership onto you as well. So they will do that check. They will check you. They will do anti-money laundering check on you as well, just to be sure that you're not fraudster or using one fraud money to come and buy house in the UK. You have legit worked for it. You can prove that yes, these are the things that you're doing, and you are able to afford the property as well. There's no problem anywhere. They'll also ensure that property valuation is done. I think the bank will also send somebody to come and do property valuation. They will do searches at land registries, surveys, things like that. So everything is just with the lawyer. Once you pay them, they'll get everything sorted for you. And the good things about lawyers' fees is that you pay at the end. I think we pay after completion or towards our completion, like a day to our completion day. So that's it. So once lawyers have given you go ahead, the next stage is exchange of contracts. Once you exchange contracts, kilo tuku, guys, that's the Yoruba meaning. What is next? Like nothing. It literally means that both parties have agreed. You've sent, before you exchange your contract, I also need to mention as well, you need to send your deposit in to the solicitors too as well. So the solicitors held on to our deposit. The whole buying process, your money goes through your lawyer too. That's part of their responsibility. So you're not paying the mortgage advisor, you're not even paying the seller directly. No, you're going through your lawyers. You will deposit the money to your lawyers, and then they will then transfer it to the solicitors, to the seller solicitor as well. So not straight to the seller. So it's the lawyers that handle cash and all of that before it finally gets to whoever owns the money eventually. So once your deposit has been transferred to your lawyers and your lawyer confirms that they've sent it over to the solicitors, then exchange of contracts is done. Like, you guys have signed your contract, you've exchanged, you've paid deposit, you're all clear. All that you need to do is set completion dates, and setting a completion date is the date that you now finally have your keys, move into the property, and that's the day your mortgage starts counting. For us, we kept moving our completion date. Oh my god, our completion date was supposed to be December. We moved it to January, to February, to I think it was, oh my god, nah. We kept moving our completion date to the point where I told my developers that nope. If I don't collect my keys by so date, I'm no longer interested. But then they blamed me for, I think they blamed me for causing the delays as well, because we had to like upgrade and pay for some things extra in the house, which they then had to fit in, that affected completion date. But don't mind them, Sha. In the end, we got there, and then we got my key and moved into the property. So that's the whole process. So guys, that's the whole process of buying a house in the UK. If I missed anything, let me know in the comment section. If you have any question for me, please let me know in the comment section. If you also want to speak to my mortgage advisor, click the link I'll put in my description box as well. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found value in it. If you're yet to subscribe, what are you waiting for? Don't forget to hit the subscribe button now. Bye guys. Thank you for watching.